Welcome to Football Game Plan Scout Team Podcast here on the Football Game Plan Network on YouTube. Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and we're joined by the official full scout team, Brandon Howard, Chris James, Teron Davenport, and the coach, Gene Clemons. So, again, guys, I would say this is a post-practice podcast where we're just kind of like letting our hair down, so to speak, and just talking ball, talking shop. And really a couple of questions or topics that we're going to talk about today just to get our juices flowing. And again, follow us all on our social media accounts. You see right there underneath our in our box, our photo box, but also subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/footballgameplan. So today's topic, the initial topic, this is a popular one that we kind of see thrown around and some people use it as an insult. We saw someone talk about this today, or maybe this weekend, with Sage Rosenfeld's brought up, hey, there's only about a couple of thousand guys in the world that can evaluate film, yada yada, that know what they're looking at. But I think that's like a branch to the tree of the whole thought process. Do you need to have had playing experience to evaluate talent? So I'll get you guys' thoughts first before I go around, but just open it up to let's start with Brandon, since I'm looking at you right next to me in this box. Do you need is playing experience important to evaluate talent?
I think it's absolutely critical, and if you don't have playing experience, you at least need a modicum of coaching experience, or at least spend some time learning from those who have done it. I think it's incredibly, insulting at times where you have those that never played it down, and they'll be the ones that to tell you that they know better than the ones that have actually done it. So I really think that's where the rub is sometimes. But I think it's very important because you have players that'll tell you also, if they have to sit there and listen to somebody that's never done it, and they can tell that particular coach or talent evaluator doesn't really know what they're talking about, they instantly, lose respect for that particular coach or talent evaluator. So I think it definitely brings a lot of weight into any situation when you can say, I've laced them up.
So, and I think you're correct, Brandon. It's very helpful to have that talent because you know what to draw from. You know the experience. You know how it feels to take that hit going across the middle. You know how that all feels. I don't think you have to have it, but if you don't have it, you have to be so studious, so on top of trying to absorb from the people who have, because you're not going to be able to draw from that personal experience. And that way you can at least understand it to the point of, okay, even though I don't have that, I've learned from, listened to, and paid attention to the people who do have it. Because again, it's hard to hear someone say that guy isn't tough who's never been hit. So it's just one of those things that if you're not going to have it, don't have it. It's okay, but you have to be humble enough to take all of that information in, take all the intel possible, study as hard as you can so you can be really good at this. Because to Brandon's point, people are going to know when you don't pass the smell test on this particular situation.
I think there's two things that always gets lost when we're talking about whether or not you need experience versus no experience. And I think that's nuance and context. Many times there's just things you can't understand unless you've ever been through it. And it doesn't mean that you can't be good or decent at it. You're just not going to be elite at it. And I'll give you one great example that no one ever talks about. Bill Belichick sucks at evaluating draft talent. Look at his drafts. He is absolutely the worst at evaluating draft talent, at least high-end draft talent, because his first-round draft picks are normally all terrible. Because everything kind of evens out in the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round, they have a lot more success because what they are really good at, what I don't believe you need to have playing experience to do, is to develop and or coach talent. Because you can learn the things that you need to learn in order to tell somebody with talent what to do and what not to do. But when it comes to looking at it and evaluating and seeing what's good and what's not good, you kind of need to have been there. And it doesn't mean you have to have been there at the highest level, but you need to have been there at a level that allows you to make decisions based off of things that you've seen, felt, heard. You would think that at some point, Bill Belichick, being a coach for so long, would get better at judging and drafting Division I talent, and yet every single year, it's bad. It's either bad or it's okay. When has it ever been like a home run? Like what Hall of Famer does Bill Belichick have on his resume from a first-round draft pick? If somebody can tell me I'm missing him, like, let me know. But most times, these people who have never had that experience, that playing experience, tend to fall short when it comes to identifying the real legitimate talent at the higher end that I need, and noticing the difference between that high-end talent and that they're good talent. Because coaching someone and evaluating their talent is two different skills. And while I can acknowledge that Bill Belichick is one of the best developers of skill that I've ever seen in the NFL, I can't call him a good evaluator. I can't call him a good evaluator. He is not good at all at evaluating, especially high-end talent. That's how it goes.
Yeah, I think having played before is always important. I'm not going to say it's imperative, but it does give you an advantage because it allows you to know what it's like to be in that situation. And even when it goes beyond just evaluating, it just being a reporter, you can relate a lot better when things are happening because you know what it's like to be in that situation. That's really a key thing that all of us have. And I think it's a key advantage that all of us have. And for those who don't have the experience, really what it boils down to is you have to respect those who do and understand that someone that has been in a situation is going to have a better perspective, typically, is going to have a better understanding of what goes on. And you see it all the time with these guys that get on here and talk about running backs, right? And they'll freeze the frame and they'll say, hey, you know what? This hole all the way back here was open. He should have cut it back across like 5 gaps and because it was open, just because you saw that on a freeze frame. When you're in real time and you understand how things are happening fast, it's a lot harder or it's a lot easier rather to be able to see, hey, look, you know what? That's not how it works out on the field. So I think that's really important. And that's why, again, guys who have played and girls who have played, you know, I feel they have an advantage.
You know, you guys bring up like a really good point because I look at it like basketball. You know, I didn't play basketball, but I love basketball, love college basketball, love the NBA. And just from a lay person, from a fan's perspective, I like to think I can say, okay, man, this dude is good. Like when I watch college basketball, and I always point to how I thought Dwayne Wade was just really good at Marquette. I was like, man, this dude just got good old man game. Him and James Harden, I was like, man, these dudes just got good old man game. And, you know, I think they'll be good in the NBA. But I also thought Jimmer Fredette would have been good in the NBA because he made all them threes. And I'm thinking, well, hell, if you could shooting is shooting. The goal ain't different in the NBA. You should be able to shoot. But that's me as an untrained person who hadn't played basketball. I don't know. I didn't know what I was looking at in terms of why did Jimmer Fredette not work out? Why did Adam Morrison not work out? And, you know, but you look at the football side of things, being able to see, I think this what separates those that have played to those that don't or didn't. A lot of times those that have the experience can see the it, and we kind of know what it is. And if you don't know what that, if you haven't been in that situation to see the it, you don't know what it looks like. So when we're saying something along the lines of, nah, Lamar Jackson, he's good, or Deshaun Watson got the goods, or, you know, someone like Burrow got the goods. It's like, well, how could you say that when so-and-so has these stats? And it's like, you know, at the end of the day, it's not about the stats. It's about, man, I could see the dog in this dude. I could see the it, and the it is what gets you over the hump. And even though I have playing experience, I still am humble enough to defer to those that have played higher than me, better than me, or more consistent. So let's say if I'm in a room full of NFL players, I didn't play at that level, but I'm not going to sit there and say, nah, I know better than you. No, that's a different game. I'm going to defer to you. I'm always defer to the person that got more experience. And I think what TD touched on, the lack of appreciation or respect for those that have, I don't know if it's a competitive thing, but I feel like we only do this in this arena. We don't do this in the medical. Well, nowadays you do it in the medical field. Everybody think they know better than the doctors and the people that's trying to save your life. But for the most part, people don't do that with chefs. People don't do that with any other field except in this field. And I think I don't know why that is, but I think it all boils down to just having a little bit of respect for the person that has done it, but also even the people that have done it, just have a little bit of humbleness and be like, I don't know everything. I'm still trying to learn. Even with the coaching side of things, I coach, but there's still so much I don't know. Even while I was coaching, I didn't know. So I'm not going to sit there and talk to a Dabo Sweeney and be like, bro, like, nah, the way you ran that crossbuck was whack. Like, nah, bro, like, there's probably a reason why you did it that way. And I'm going to be humble enough to sit back and just chill.
And that also plays into it. Oh, I'm sorry. All I'm saying is that plays into something with the whole, people have this buzzword about analytics. Numbers have been used in sports for years, but now there's a reliance by some who don't have that playing experience. They'll come and tell you this, and this happened. But we know why, or at least we can tell you the experience. The numbers should assist what's going on the field, the situational parts of football. Instead, they replaced it.
What they call analytics, we would call tendencies. We would just look at, we had numbers. Hey, third down, this is what they go to. This is what coverage, they go to. They may shift to this. We knew. We had people that did the statistics on that. We had it pregame. So I don't know where, it got down to where people are saying, oh, well, everything qualifies as analytics now, and it's things that we've always had. It's tools we've always had at our disposal and tools that we, the players and coaches, have always used. So it's really not too much different going on.
I mean, if you think about the definition of analytics, it's a systematic computation of data. So, I mean, it's data. It's data, and data has football, even more than any other sport, has always, from my experience, I'm 41 years old. From all of the time that I remember football, data has been used. So it's not like analytics is something new. The sole reliance upon analytics is something that's new. Exactly. And that, to me, is where you lose people like me, people like you guys, because we know that nothing can be relied upon on its own. And even when we talk, and what he was talking about earlier about, having to have some respect for guys who played the game at a higher level. I have to give respect to a guy that I bash a lot, Dan Orlovsky. He played the game at a higher level than I played the game at. He played the position that he analyzes a lot. I never played that position. So I can understand why he might see something that I don't necessarily see. At the end of the day, as a scout, as someone who breaks things down, you have to rely on your eye. And even if my eye doesn't agree with Dan Orlovsky's eye makes me go back to the film and try to find what it is he's talking about. And that's the respect that you're talking about, E, is that when someone who's played the game at the highest level says something, you don't just dismiss it because you don't agree with it. You go and try to validate what they're saying by going back and looking at the film. You can't do that by the stats. You can only do that by going back and looking at the film. And that's where a lot of our analytics guys lose everyone else, because they're not willing to go and look at the film and add the nuance, add the context into it. They just want to rely on the numbers.
And the other thing that irks me with it is things that they just discount that happen on the football field. Momentum. They always say, hey, you know what? There's no such thing. Hey, listen, I guarantee you, if you're actually in a game and your running back breaks a 99-yard run, you're going to feel momentum shift to your side. Conversely, if you're in a game and the opposing team's running back does it, you're going to feel it. It's true. But see, because they can't put some type of algorithm and formula on it, they say, hey, you know what? There's no such thing. Or this whole thing about the running game. I mean, here covering the Titans, I see literally in front of me the importance of a rushing attack with Derrick Henry and what he does. They always say, oh, well, you know, they're down 14 points. It's stupid to run the football. But then they turn around and hand the ball off, and he breaks a long touchdown, or they just drive down the field, and they take back control of the game. The defense feeds off of that. They get a stop, and what do? They turn around and hand it off to them over and over again, and now the game's tied, but it's in their favor. That's something that's real. Momentum is real. So I think that's another thing with the analytics committee, the community, however you want to call it. They are so quick to dismiss things that they don't understand. And I think it would be better to try to understand that. You know, a lot of them play Madden. Well, you know, a lot of times, you know, these video games have momentum meters in there, and you see stuff turn around. So rely on that too. I mean, that irks me all the time.
Yeah. As long as they know that momentum don't have on his Jabot jeans, it's not a real person. Because, yeah, it is that collective mindset. When, like you said, Derrick Henry breaks off a big run, like, okay, we can do this. And other team goes, I don't want to tackle that big. So you're correct, TD. It is a real thing, and a team can get behind it.
But the thing, what I look at too is like how everybody thinks you should just go for it on fourth down every play or never punt. Like, bro, yeah, it's easy for me to sit back there, you know, with my bottle of water, like, man, don't punt, go for it. But nah, bro, my job ain't on the line. Like, that's different, man. It's so different when and coaches know this, and you know, being a part of it, you kind of know, like, all right, yeah, the numbers may say it's 4th and 1. The numbers may even say, bro, you're 98%. You have 98% chance of getting this based off your seasonal stats and situational football. But in this particular game, I know my right guard is a little bit banged up. I know my running back just got the life knocked out of him on 2 plays previous. He might not even be there mentally yet, but he's just out there physically. We got to punt this thing. But to the person outside that don't get all of that information, that's the type of, you know, social intelligence that you see from the coaching side of things. Like, I know what's going on right now, even though the numbers may suggest I should go for it. And being in those situations, you kind of understand while some coaches will do certain things in certain situations, despite what the analytics may say.
I mean, perfect example. People bashed Bill Belichick. I think it was against the Colts. They went for it on a 4th and 1. You gonna tell me that man doesn't know the temperature of his own team? Just because it didn't work doesn't mean it was the wrong call. Now, if it's 4th and 5 and I have Patrick Mahomes, I might just go for it. If it's 4th and 1 and I don't want to bash any quarterbacks. Let's say I had Nathan.
Oh no, you can bash a few of them, CJ.
Let's say
okay.
I had Nathan Peterman. I'm punting twice. I don't want him to do anything with. So you have to understand the makeup of your team, the feeling about it, the players you have, all these things that sometimes the numbers themselves as raw data don't tell you.
Yeah, but right. I think it's easy, and quickly I'll finish off. CJ, I think it's easy to say a Nathan Peterman, but we know starting quarterbacks that we're like, I'm just going to go ahead and punt it. Like, if you're rolling around in Minnesota, you're probably punting it. If you're rolling in New York, at either stop, you're probably punting it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's not as if we don't know who can or cannot. We understand. Like, if you're in Buffalo, you're like, yeah, roll that dice. You know why? Because a Josh Allen is a guy who's going to give you 2 different dynamics to pick up that first down. And that can't be ignored. But then there's some other people you're just like, I don't know. Punt team, let's go. Like, it's 4th and 1. You're like, no, punt team. It's good. We're good. No, let's go for it, coach. Be quiet. Shut up or you're cut right now. Like, those guys know it. They know it. The players know it. Have you ever seen a time where offenses don't even argue with the 4th and 1?
Right.
That's because they know what they're dealing with. They know who they have back there behind center. They're like, nah, we're good. Go ahead and put that away. Let the defense take care of it.
It's funny, man, because like you see that all the time, and it kind of ties into our last point for this podcast. Talk about positional value, because we're in the draft season, and everyone talking about running backs going down, and it changes every year. It's funny because if you leave it up to draft Twitter, the only position you're supposed to take in the first round is quarterbacks and wide receivers, and that's it. You take those in the first round, and I guess you could find everything else in every other round, but always take quarterbacks and wide receivers in the first round, despite taking talent. I think the fact that we put positional talent, positional value on certain things is kind of foolish. I get the financials. If you don't want to pay, let's say if I think right now Tristan Hodge is the best guard in the draft, right? Or Aaron Banks out of Notre Dame, and I'm sitting there with the Jaguars, the number one pick. I'm like, man, I'm taking Aaron Banks. Will that be a dumb financial move? Absolutely, because you're paying now a guard, which you would pay the number one overall pick. Football-wise, is he going to help my team win? Yes. So you kind of got to weigh both. I get it. But, man, some of these arguments I hear out there are just so dumb. So what's your take on positional value? If I see a good player, I'm taking him. I don't give a damn. I won't take the guard number one because I get the financial part of it. But damn it, I'm going to try to find a way to get that boy at number 2 or something like that because I need good players on my team.
I hate the hindsight is 2020 perspective that people put out there. And what I'm saying is you can't take a running back in the first round, or you can only take him on the back half. And then they do a redraft the next year, and there's like 5 running backs in the first round. I'm like, so what are you saying? If you're going to redraft now, you're going to now put them as valuable. No, they were valuable before. And I've seen multiple people put up these things of these first round running backs haven't won anything. Okay. Well, if you look through them, some of them go to bad teams. It's not like every quarterback's won everything. It's just it's the way that they're just. Me personally, I'd rather fail with all really good players of all sorts of positions and hope I hit on another one somewhere than making this odd reach for no reason. Like, I'm not going to take in this draft. I'm not taking Kyle Trask in the second round if freaking Kadarius Toney's there. No, I'm not. No, I'm running up to the podium and taking Kadarius Toney because I know he's a better player than his teammates. So it's just, you won't go wrong with talent, with too much talent. I don't see it happen often.
I think end of the day, it boils down to, can this guy help my football team? And that's really what you have to look at. And I remember, Emory, when we were at the Combine, and I forget his name. He used to be the Chiefs GM, but he was the GM for the Browns. And Dorsey. You asked him about Ezekiel Elliott, and possibly being that top pick. Of course, they ended up taking Baker Mayfield, but still, one of the things he said was, can he make plays and help me win games? If he can, then I would take him. And that's really what it boils down to. So regardless of position, I think you do have certain positions that have more value. And we know that just seeing how the draft falls with quarterbacks, et cetera. But at the same time, that's really, it just comes down to, okay, I need people that are going to help me win. And if this guy is able to help me win, if this guy is able to make game-changing types of plays, then I'll take him at wherever I need to take him.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you just kind of have to marry, your need with the talent that's available. And where do you value that talent? I do take issue with, the way that the running backs are devalued currently. I'm not a fan of that groupthink that's been, kind of permeating draft circles. I really don't understand it because one thing we talked about before was, and earlier was when the running back can basically take the air out of the stadium, by constantly chewing up 4 yards, and just keeping your offense on schedule. When that happens, the opposing defense wears down, and then your defense gets to take a break. They get rest. It's just that whole aspect of complementary football. And when you can keep the clock moving, you can keep the chains moving, all of that. And I think that has so much value. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing. And we talked about momentum earlier. That's what the running back position brings to the table. So if they know that no matter what we do, we can't stop this rushing attack, there's just so much you can do off of that. And that's why good teams that can run the ball consistently, no matter what defense is thrown at it, and chew up yardage and chew up clock, those are teams that win. So I'm not understanding why, the running back continues to be devalued.
Man, people that say that about running backs go eat a Popeye's biscuit with no water. They can go kick rocks, man. So they can just do whatever.
Coming from a running back. That's coming from a running back right there. We like it. No, I'm with you though. I think that's ridiculous, but I also think it's just everything's ridiculous when it comes to positional value. Like everybody knows that I personally don't value offensive linemen being like shoved into the first round because there's a run on offensive linemen, because I really do believe there's not a lot of fall off between the second or third offensive lineman and like the 10th or 11th. However, if there's a Quentin Nelson in the draft, guess what, my guy? Draft that guy right now. Like, think about the people who were taken, and I went ahead and pulled it up. Baker Mayfield, Saquon Barkley, Sam Darnold, Denzel Ward, Bradley Chubb. Who of them have been more effective than Quentin Nelson? Out of those 5 guys, and you know how we feel about Saquon Barkley, if he doesn't get hurt, whatever. Of those 5 guys, who's been better than Quentin Nelson? Nobody. And so if nobody's been better than him, then why wouldn't you not take him with the first round draft pick? Especially, and here's what I thought the game changer was. Once they put a rookie wage scale in place where you no longer had to pay the number 1 pick overall $70 million, to me, that took away the need to pick a quarterback high. I heard someone the other day, I forget who it was, that said if you pick wrong on a quarterback, it sets your franchise back 3 years. That's antiquated thinking. No longer is that the case. The Carolina Panthers picked a quarterback before they picked Cam Newton. Jimmy Clausen. They picked Jimmy Clausen in the 2nd round the year before they picked Cam Newton. It didn't set their franchise back. Jimmy Clausen was supposed to be the guy. And then they looked around and went, no, dude, you're not the guy. We're going to take another guy the next year. And Cam Newton's year was the first year of the rookie wage scale. So while the guy who got picked in the first round the year before him got $70 million, Cam Newton got $25. That does not set your – I would just continue to draft guys until I got the guy that I wanted. I don't care what position you play. The difference is that if you want a Quentin Nelson, you can get him at 7 or 6 because the first 5 guys are going to reach for guys that maybe are not at that level that they need to be. And that's the difference. But for me, positional value should be team by team. If we need this position, then that value should be high. If we don't need that position, that value should be low.
I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm sorry. Ezo. I was saying I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it becomes self-fulfilling prophecy. Mm-hmm. Don't take certain positions because you're like, oh, they're not as valuable. You end up overdrafting quarterbacks who should have never sniffed the first round. So that's why now they have the luxury of calling it, oh, it's a 50-50 proposition, a crapshoot. No, you intentionally made a misstep by taking dudes who should have never touched the first round, the Christian Ponders of the world. That should never happen. If they're not a first-round talent, don't take them. Take someone else.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it boils down to. Bottom line, you take players that can help you. I don't think there's any easier way to put it.
Yeah, and just to put a nice little bow on this conversation that we're having, I agree with all you guys. If you're good, just take the good players. Like I've said before, we probably all agree. That back in that Browns draft when they had the 2 top 5 picks, it would have been Saquon Barkley and Lamar Jackson. And F what you think, we're gonna go out there and lead the league in rushing for the next decade. So, yeah, and it just would have been balling. So, and another example, Gene. The Browns in 2017 took Kaiser in the second round, double back in the first round in 18 and took Baker Mayfield. So if you don't hit, you get another shot at the tree. But this has been fun, guys. So I want to go around and let you guys promote what you guys got to promote and make sure everyone watching and listening, check out Football Game Plan's network at youtube.com/football game plan. Check out the Scout Team show on the Game Plus network. Check with your cable provider for channel listings. That's Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. So Brandon, starting with you, what you got coming down the pike?
Yeah, man, you can check me out on Twitter at bhoward_81. And I've got some work coming down the pike for draft stuff at The Athletic and more fantasy work. So stay tuned.
So right now, I'm just getting prepped for this upcoming season. The 2020 season kind of took it out of me from a football perspective, but I'm looking to hit the ground running with 2021, getting some of the fantasy draft stuff up, getting that prepared, and also, just getting more into the writing side of it and videos that I didn't do this past year.
Absolutely. And you can find me on my YouTube channel, Coach Gene Clemons. You can also see my work at least 2 times a week with FCS right now in our betting thing for The Athletic. I have a piece dropping tomorrow or dropping today whenever this hits. And then I have a piece dropping probably Wednesday or Thursday talking about the FCS playoffs and what to expect the first round. You can catch my podcast that we just dropped the first and second episodes last week. Talk Spicy drops every Tuesday and Thursday. Give me 10 minutes of your time. I'm talking like I'm talking right now. So if you want to hear more of this, definitely hit me up there. And then anything else that I'm doing, our X Knows the Joe series is coming back this summer. Our Winging It series is going to premiere this summer. So a lot of things coming down the pipe for me.
And TD dropped off, so we're just gonna give TD, some shout out right there. You can
Shout out
follow
to TD
on
Sure.
Twitter at TD_NFL. He's a Tennessee Titans reporter for NFL Nation on ESPN, and you can catch us Talking with TD podcast and Talking with TD show on 102.5 FM The Game in Nashville. So for TD, Brandon, Chris, and Gene, I hope you guys enjoyed this post-practice edition of Scout Team.